Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We're live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited to have on Jesse Iwuji. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. Just out here in Southern California, enjoying this crazy heat.
Yeah, we've had a very we're from Toronto, Canada, so the weather's been up and down the last little while. So there's so many layers to you. I mean, I was even thinking today, like usually when I have a conversation, I leave it to be very curious. I just want to learn as much as I can about you as we go. Yeah. And it was interesting as we were starting this, and I started kind of doing a little research on you. There's so many layers of you. Let's start off with just in general, what made you fall in love with cars? What took you to that route?
Yeah. So for cars, so ever since I was a little kid, I always loved cars. Both of my parents are not from the U.S. They're from Nigeria. They immigrated from Nigeria to the U.S. Back in the 80s. And, for them, when it came to like racing and stuff, it was in Nigeria, it's foot racing. It's not car racing. So, that's what that I guess that kind of speed got into me. But for cars, I used to watch the show Knight Rider and with David Hasselhoff, and I watched that. That was like my first introduction into cars. And
but you're quite how old are you, Jeff?
I'm 33, about to turn 34.
So that was my time. I'm 44. So you're watching reruns at that time, probably.
I guess it was. I thought it was like, this new show that was out. But I think I was watching it when I was like about 5 years old or so. And I used to love the show. And that was my first introduction into cars and starting to find this passion for cars. And then after that, there was this show, I can't remember what network it was on, called Viper. That was another show I used to love. Cartoons like Speed Racer, stuff like that. I used to watch a little bit of NASCAR on TV. And when I finally got video games, obviously I loved Mario Kart. Mario Kart was amazing. Then I moved on to PlayStation, got on the Gran Turismo stuff. So all these different things and Fast and Furious and so on. This is all the stuff that kind of spiraled me into this car world, which eventually spiraled me into the professional racing world.
Yeah, I love it. So when was your first actual competition? I'm assuming you went the go-kart route and all that stuff.
No, I did not go to that. No, I didn't do all of that. Yeah, that's what makes the reason I'm probably on this podcast is because my story is so much more different than everybody else. So for me, no, I didn't go through the normal go-kart route. I didn't, do what everyone's supposed to do, which is, starting go-karts at age 4 or 5 years old. From there, move on to the next step, depending on what ladder you're trying to go up. If you're going the open wheel route, typically you go into, Formula Fords or whatever, and then you move on to F3, 2, all that. And then NASCAR route, you go into Legends cars, late models, all that. I didn't get the chance to do that. In fact, I didn't even touch a race car for the first time until 6 years ago. So,
wow.
Yeah. So prior to that, basically kind of what led me into that was, I had went to the Naval Academy. I played football there.
Yeah.
I got recruited to play football there. So college football was like my big goal when I was in high school. I wanted to, be good enough in high school to get recruited by some D1 schools. And eventually the Naval Academy recruited me. And I just looked at it as a good opportunity to go to good school, get a great education, and play football for a great team. Went there, played football all 4 years, graduated 2010, became an officer in the Navy because I went to the Naval Academy. And as an officer, I was going on deployments, I was on the ships. And in between my deployments, when I was free back home in San Diego, which is where I was based, I still had this car passion. So I bought a Challenger and I had eventually bought a Corvette Z06. And I would take these cars to drag strips and road course tracks and just, different car events and doing that, every weekend that I was free, that developed this passion. And eventually after a bunch of track days with my Corvette, I was going to these open track days doing, running tracks like Auto Club Speedway, Willow Springs, all that stuff. Eventually that's what led me to just think that I had a chance to become a pro driver because I felt like I was good enough on the track. I felt like, hey, I can control a car at 150 miles per hour on a track. Why not just take it to the next level and pro race? What's stopping me? And then that mindset right there is what got me going. And in 2015 is when I made that leap to start my racing journey. And I started in late model stock cars. I didn't even start in go-karts or anything. I just went straight to a late model and, at Irwindale Speedway. And then from there, worked my way up.
So you've climbed the ladder pretty quickly, which is pretty amazing. Your parents. So you were born in Nigeria?
I was born here in the U.S. They came here. Yeah, they came here. They got to Texas in the mid '80s, and then had me in the late '80s.
there's so many questions I want to ask you. So you going into the Navy SEALs, this is a
Navy
question.
surface warfare.
Surface warfare. I apologize.
Surface, yeah, sir, yeah.
And so when you were going that route, did you have any hesitation from your parents of going in that route? I mean, and I always ask that because you always hear stories of parents having that fear of obviously your child going overseas or something happening. Did you have any hesitation from your parents, or were they fully supportive of that decision right off the bat?
They were fully supportive.
Okay.
You know, my dad has always been super supportive of the military. He loves the U.S. military. He always told me, he's like, hey, you know, if it wasn't, cause when he came over here to the U.S., he was in his mid-20s, I believe, or so.
Yeah.
And just with him trying to get his education and get on his feet, it just like he couldn't join the military. It just wasn't going to work for him.
Yeah.
But he always told me, it's like, man, if I was like here earlier and maybe had a little bit, you know, more time to kind of get myself on my feet, he said he would have joined all day and been in the military. But so he was super supportive of it. My mom, you know, she was right along there knowing that it was going to be a good thing for me.
What is it in a few words, what does the military mean to you?
The military, what it means to me is the ability for for anyone to volunteer, stick their right hand up in the air and basically, you know, proclaim to the world that they're willing to protect this country, our freedoms, and what we're able to do here against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's my definition.
I love it. I love it. Cars. How many cars do you actually own, or what's your favorite car right now? And I keep looking at your Instagram. You always have different pictures and stuff. What's your favorite car right now, and what car do you own, and all that stuff?
Yeah, so right now I own a 2017 Chevy Corvette C7 Z06. I have a 2006 Chevy Corvette C6 Z06, and then I have a 1991 Nissan Skyline R32 GTR. And I have a Silverado in Arizona that I forget about sometimes. But those are my cars I have right now. The Skyline's pretty fun. To say which one is actually my favorite, it's tough because they all have their own different purposes. The C6 Z06 is my drift car now. The C7 Z06 is like a cruiser and also a drag car.
Yeah.
The Skyline is like a kind of an all around thing. It could road course, it can be a cruiser, it can drag race, it can do it all. I can tell you this, the one that gets the most attention is the Skyline.
Yeah.
The 30-year-old car. Everywhere I go, it gets recorded. I see cell phones sticking out of cars on the highway, recording it. People, you know, giving me thumbs up, you know, all that stuff. Every time I get home from any kind of drive, I go on my Instagram and I'm tagged in like multiple pictures and videos all the time. It's crazy, but I love all of them. They're all fun in their own unique ways. And I plan on getting more.
I was gonna say, is there one car? Like, I'm a car guy. When I was, and I'm a Chevy too. I mean, when I was 16, the first two cars I ever bought when I was 16 within a 4-week period was 86 IROC T-top, which I drove all the time. And then
Nice.
I bought a 79 Camaro, which I actually drove it for a bit. I stored in my parents' garage. It was stored for years. And I took it out about, you see my Instagram pictures. I took it out about 5-6 years ago and I did a full restaurant on it. The only thing I didn't do myself was the paint, but everything else I did with buddies and we worked on it. So it was like a passion project. We did a full restore on it. And cars was a huge part. Like when you're saying that, because that was me growing up 15, 16, going to drag strips, all that stuff like that. And it was a huge part of just even with my dad. I mean, my dad just passed away recently, and that was a huge memory of ours, going to car shows, going to drag strips, and he was a huge car guy too. So it hits close to home. So I love that part. Is there any car that you have in your mind that's like a bucket list, like this is something I've always wanted, or something no matter what, I'm gonna eventually get my hands on?
Yeah, there's a few of them. The one that is more attainable than the others would probably be a Viper. I've been a huge fan of Vipers my whole life, and I've had a chance to get them a few times and ended up going the Corvette route each time, because the Z06 it's a very well put together car that is just an all around car that you can actually daily all the time. I found that out with my C6 Z06. I have 215,000 miles on it.
Wow.
I don't know if I would have been able to do that with the Viper.
Yeah.
The Corvettes have way more trunk space. They actually do pretty good on gas on the highway.
Yeah.
My C6 Z06, one time when it was bone stock, I did 409 miles on one tank, and it's a 17-gallon tank. I mean, that's incredible.
I love it. I love the conversations. You're a pure car guy that you're talking. People are going to listen to this and they're like, what does that even mean? I love that.
Yeah, no. But yeah, Viper would be like the next out, and the 5th gen Viper, the latest one. I love that one. It's amazing. It's like it's a perfect mix of new school and like that that original look that they had. I don't like the 4th gen that much, but yeah, that 5th gen is perfect. And then the car that's a little bit not less attainable, but just it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get, but I'll get it. A Pagani Zonda. I plan on getting the Pagani one of these days. So just gotta, put together some more successful business opportunities, and then I'll get there. But
what do one of those run for roughly?
It depends which ones. I believe the Zonda was like kind of the first iteration, and they moved on to the Huayra, which is Huayra is now. Actually, you're going to phase that one out and move on to the next one. I can't remember when the new one's coming out, but I think they're all in like the 1-2 mil range, depending on what you're getting. And I'm sure there's ones that are even more, but in that 1 to 2 mil range, which it's attainable. You can do it. It's not easy, but it's all possible.
In the racing realm, when you're getting into it and getting your feet wet, was there somebody that kind of took you under your wing to mentor you or guide you through that?
No one not one particular person. I got advice from a lot of different people. I'd reach out to certain people, go watch what certain people are doing, research on certain people, just to kind of learn their route, what they did, what worked for them, what didn't. I learned from a lot of people. It wasn't just one particular person, because racing isn't this sport that there's just like one route. Like in football, it's just one route. Yeah. You go from middle school to high school football to college football, because again, drafted to the NFL. That's it. Like there's no other way around it. You don't go this way and come around it. No, it's just one way. Same thing with basketball, soccer, all that stuff. Racing, no. Like I can go from go-karts to like open wheel racing to sports car racing to NASCAR, and like it's just no route, So what I did was I just learned from everyone's story. I'm like, who made it to the top of their game, who was really good, who made things work, and not just being really good driver, but who were able to figure out all the fundamentals of racing. It's not just driving. A lot of people think, oh yeah, just be a really good driver and you're just going to make it. No, because there's a funding side of it. If there's no money to put you in a race car, then you're not racing, no matter what. It's just not a free game. Like tires are. Goodyear isn't going to give you tires for free. It's their business too, so you got to pay for those, right? Someone has to pay for it, and if the team owner doesn't have enough money, then the driver has to figure it out, and the driver has to either go find it or hopefully come from a wealthy family. I don't come from a wealthy family, so I had to go find it, and I found it through sponsorship. I found it through putting together business opportunities for myself. I have a few businesses now, all these different things. I figure out a way. Let's talk
about that. What are you diving into business wise? This originally started as an entrepreneurial podcast and has turned into more of an entertainment / entrepreneurial podcast. But I'd love to hear your business side. What are you dabbling in right now? Where have you ventured into business wise?
Yeah. So as far as business stuff, it all started in 2015. So when I was first getting into racing, I had to figure out the money side, like I said, tires, fuel, people, transportation, all that stuff, race cars, it all costs money. So at that time I was a lieutenant in the Navy and I was making decent money, but I wasn't making enough to, support a racing habit every weekend, every other weekend. Yeah. So what I did was I figured out, okay, if I start my own business on the side of being in the Navy, maybe I can make enough money from that to sponsor myself so I can be in a race car if I'm not able to find sponsorship, because sponsorship is not easy to find. So I started a business where I was hosting drag racing events. So I would basically rent a track, and I would use my social media skills to basically hype up the event and get a lot of spectators and drivers and all these people to come to the event and drag race their street cars. So basically you can bring your Corvette, your Camaro, your GTR, your Lambo, whatever, bring it, come race, have a chance to win some money, or just have fun with your friends racing in front of a crowd of people. I was trying to basically give that professional feel where you felt like you're a pro driver.
So you were renting the track for this event, or how would this work? You had to kind of deal with the track owners.
Yeah, I rented the track for the event. So basically I came to the track owners. I'm like, hey, I have this idea for an event. I'm pretty sure I can put on a good one. What's your fee? What does it come with? And what do I need to bring to the table? And they're like, okay, here's a fee and it includes everything. I'm like, cool. Now I knew my target. I knew, okay, this is how much the track costs. This is how much marketing is going to cost. This is how much, the extra workers I was going to need to handle other little stuff. Like all that stuff I put together. I'm like, okay, it's going to cost me this amount to do an event. So all I got to do is sell more tickets than what it costs to do the event, and then I make money. I'm like, it's not complicated. So
it's an easy business plan.
Yeah, so that's what I did.
How successful was your first one?
So the first event, I believe we had maybe like between racers and spectators, we maybe had like 300 people show up or so. We made just enough money where I profited like a couple grand, $2 or $3 grand.
It's pretty good for your first event.
Yeah, for my first event, I was like, that's great. I didn't lose money like everyone said it was going to happen.
Yeah,
like I made money. I was like, that's good. But then at the same time, I was like, I made money, but man, I put a lot of sweat equity into this just to make $2 or $3 grand. I was like, I need to figure out a way where I can make a lot more than this for the amount of work that I just put into it. So then I use content and more hype and things like that to get the next event hyped up, which was 6 months later. And then we ended up having like 2,000 people show up.
That's a big jump.
Event. Huge jump. Yeah. So I went from like profiting like $2 or $3 grand to profiting like 27 grand.
Are you still doing these events?
Yes. I have one coming up this Saturday.
There's a big problem. How many times a year are you doing these events now?
So now we're at a point where we're doing, depending on the year, because COVID kind of screwed up. On now we will be probably sitting at 4 to 5 a year. Usually we have 3 in California, and then we'll have like 1 in Arizona. And I'm trying to figure out a way to maybe have 2 in Arizona or maybe 1 more in California. I'm still figuring it out. But usually I would say on any given year, 4, maybe 5.
What's the name of the event?
The Red List series. So the Red List series. So if you go on Instagram, Facebook, I'm on our pages are on both of them. If you just look up the Red List group, you'll see the events we put on. And so the Red List series is one that's for all cars, makes and models, trucks, everything. Then Truck War in Arizona and Phoenix, that one's for all trucks. That's actually my biggest event. The last one we did, which was pre-COVID, because with COVID, we couldn't do any events in Arizona last year. But in 2019, we had over almost 6,000 people in attendance. It's pretty crazy.
People, I mean, it's a little different in Canada, but Americans love their trucks. So, it's a different world there for trucks and stuff. That is awesome. So what other business ventures do you have?
Yeah. So after those, obviously I've been putting on the events every single year since 2015. Then in 2018, I expanded out a little bit more and wanted to do some more traditional type stuff. So I started a trucking company with semi trucks. So I right now, as we speak, we have 5 semis rolling on the road, mainly hauling Amazon goods. And that's been going pretty good. 2018 is when we started at the end. 2019, it grew. 2020, it exploded. This year is kind of staying just about on par as it did last year. So
very competitive industry, though, the trucking industry.
In a way, but finding work isn't that difficult.
No, it's not.
Now finding really, really good work.
Do you find it's very cutthroat, like the pricing and stuff with that?
It can be, just depending on where you're at and what you're doing. You got to find what works for you. The best thing is to to figure out your costs and get your costs down. When you get your costs down to operate, then it makes it a lot easier to accept work. But if your costs are too high, you're always having to look for the highest paying things, and it gets difficult.
Do you have partners in any of these businesses?
Yeah, so both of my brothers are my partners on the trucking company. And we have real estate too. We're doing real estate investing. We had a big real estate deal we're working on right now. And then we have an esports company too, where I'm putting on esports events. So the esports thing has been growing. We started that at the end of last year. I have different partners on that. Then my brothers aren't in on that one. That's some different partners. But E-Racing Association. E-Racing Association puts on sim racing events where at home you can be on your racing simulator, compete for prizes. You can win an event and win $4,000 cash while you're sitting in your room at home.
I saw a video. Like I said, I don't usually do research on guests, and for some reason, this morning we had a couple hours extra in the office, my other companies, and I was playing around, and I just saw that's something you were doing, which was the Egame, which is simulated
Nascar.
It's so realistic, huh?
Very, very. I mean, that's what we used to train. A lot of us train at home on that, so that when we get to the real racetrack, that we already know where everything's at, what speeds we can take certain corners, what our braking zones, what are all the different markers, everything. We use that to train. And it's very, very realistic. I mean, I spend about 2 hours an evening every day on mine.
I was going to ask you, just for the audience to understand, how much of being a race car driver nowadays is you're a massive athlete, like you're an extreme athlete. The way you train, the way you mentally, physically, spiritually, there's so many different levels of your training. Give me an average week of your training. Well, like you said, with a simulated, physically, all that. Give me an average week of your training for the racing.
Yeah. So as far as the simulator side, like I mentioned, I spend about a couple hours a day training on there because that gets the mental side right, so that I know where I'm supposed to be on the track. Well, I mean, I can walk you through a lot of road course tracks with 15 corners. I can literally tell you.
I was going to say, so they are exactly like the actual courses you guys are on, right?
Exactly. I can
That's
literally
awesome. Yeah.
Like map it out with you, talk you through a track and be like, hey, at this point is when you brake. At this point is when you turn. At this point is when you feed the gas. At this point is when you continue to go. Now you're shifting to second, to third, to fourth. You know, I can literally do that right now without even looking at a track because of all the laps I have on there. So I use that to get the mental side right. Now, as far as the physical side, some people think, oh, you're driving in a car, turning left all the time, or maybe you're on a road course, turn left and right. How hard could that be? All right. Well, in a normal street car, you have this thing called sound deadening, and you have this stuff called heat shielding that keep the heat out of the car, keep all the sound out. So now you're not feeling all these crazy vibrations and you're not getting this crazy heat. In a race car, you don't have any of that stuff. So, and like my last race at Texas, which was in June, it was 130, 140 degrees inside the race car for 2 hours. So imagine sitting in that for 2 hours and driving in a very high intense environment. You're not just cruising on the highway, just like, oh man, it's kind of hot. No, like you're on a track, high intensity, other vehicles around you. They're trying to get to the same point as you. All this stuff is happening. You're trying to control the vehicle. It's super stressful. And it's like 140 degrees and you're in a race suit. No AC. There's no like cold AC blowing on you to keep you cool. None of that stuff. I have a helmet blower that's hooked up where it blows ambient temperature. So you get maybe 95, 100 degree, air going into your helmet, which is cooler than 140, but that's what we deal with for 2 hours on end. Yeah, I have a water bottle with me there that I'm drinking, but you're still losing a lot of water. I will lose 5 to 7 pounds of water in a 2 hour period in a race.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So to train for that, what I do is here at home, I go run in the heat. So I go outside we have a field near me. I go do sprints. I typically do about 100 meter sprints each day. And then I do a boxing routine outside and also lift outside. So I do all my entire workout happens outside. And I typically try to do it when it's about 90 to 100 degrees outside, sometimes more. Earlier in June, most of my workouts was 105 to 115 degrees during my workouts.
Wow.
And I wear a long sleeve hoodie and long pants when I do them too. So I like it.
Yeah, you get accustomed to it as well. What about mentally? I mean, you said you prepare yourself with the Egame, preparing mentally, but how do you do any type of like meditation, anything to learn how to calm yourself down in situations? Because obviously in a split second, things could happen on a racetrack. Somebody cuts you off or anything. How do you prepare yourself just to always be at a very still level, just to be focused and not like get your heart rate up and stuff like that when you're racing? How do you prepare yourself mentally any other ways?
So I use a sim, honestly, to do that. That's what helps me stay super calm because I've seen everything multiple times. When you're on the sim, and I have VR when I'm on there, but as it puts you in the race car. So when I'm on there, my mind has seen so many situations all play out so many times. And so when you get on a real racetrack, it keeps you really, really calm because you're like, I've already seen this, already knows what happens. I already know, okay, if you start spinning at this speed, entering a corner, I know where you're typically going to end up, when this happens, I know where you're going to end up. If I do this, I know where I'm going to end up. All these things you've played it, you've literally played it virtually multiple times where it's just like, I already know what's going to happen. So then it keeps you really, really calm. Whereas if I didn't have that, then all the time I'd be like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Where's your parents? What do they mean to you?
They mean a lot. They've been super supportive of me, throughout my whole life. They've helped keep me and my brothers and my sister on track. Not like racetrack, but like on track, like moving in the right directions. They were always super strict on us. We didn't get to like party and stuff when we were in high school. We didn't get to hang out with a lot of people and all that stuff, which was good. It kept us focused and helped me, and my brothers and sisters, all of us, we all went off to college. My parents never had to pay a dime for school for any of us. We all got athletic scholarships.
I love it.
My two brothers, football, my sister, track. We all did well. We're all doing well now. Both of my brothers, obviously they're partners in the business and they have their own normal jobs that they work. They're both medical device salesmen, and they're killing it where they're at, making great money. My sister's a nurse. Everyone's doing well. So all because our parents kept us on track. They didn't let us deviate at all. And if we did deviate, it was like pow, pow, pow. And then we got back on track.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What's the age gap from you and your siblings? Are you in the middle? Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest, but I have a brother 1 year younger than me. I have another brother who's 4 years younger than me, and then my sister is 6 years younger than me.
With the NASCAR, what is your end goal with this? Like, how far do you want to get there? Obviously, I'm assuming to the top, but where's your end goal? Do you have timelines for your goals and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the end goal is to get to the Cup Series. Right now, I've been racing in the NASCAR Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, which is just a step or two below Cup. Yeah. But yeah, the end goal is a Cup Series, so I'm working to get to that level. It's so tough to like put a timeline on like, oh yeah, I'm going to get there by then. Because I tried to do that, and that always is a moving target. Like I'm going to get there. It's just hard for me to just be like, yeah, it's happening then. So I just keep saying, yeah, I'm going to be there by like a year or two. And then I keep getting closer. It's just, it doesn't.
So how does it, just to have an understanding, even for myself. So from the car series we are right now to get the Cup Series, is it by wins? Is it by like points? Like, how do you climb up the ladder?
To move up the ladder, it's a little bit different than a lot of other sports. It really isn't by wins or anything like that, because it's tough to win. Yeah. Only a few people are going to win each year. Yeah. And a lot of that's based off of, they just have better budgeted teams, which have better equipment. So they have a higher chance of winning. So it's not that the other drivers aren't skilled enough. It's just, if you have a better car, you're going to have a way better chance of winning than if you don't have a good car. So, to move up the ranks, a lot of it has to do with just your ability to drive and your ability to be competitive with the field. You're obviously not everyone's going to win a race, but if you can go run, top 20, top 15, do it a lot, be consistent, not be a weapon out there, then NASCAR will be like, you know what, hey, we approve you to move up to the next level. Because who knows, you might move up to the next level and then all of a sudden find bigger sponsorship and then get in better equipment, and now you're winning. There's people who have won races in higher levels that didn't win them in lower. I know people who won a bunch of races in the Xfinity Series, and in the truck level, they didn't even win a single race, So it had nothing to do with them not being skilled. It's just maybe they got into a better situation and it gave them a better chance.
Yeah. I always ask a couple questions near the end. Superpower. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
If I had one superpower, that superpower, what would it be? I think about this actually a lot because I love the comic book movies.
You saw Superman. This whole place is all full of superheroes behind us.
Yeah. It's tough for me to say. It's almost better for me to say what superhero would I like to be. And if I had to pick one that I would like to be, it would probably be Black Panther. The reason why is because in the Marvel comic universe, he is like one of the smartest. He's one of the most wealthy, just because of all the vibranium he has like on tap.
So you're nerding this out now. Continue.
He's super strong, super fast, super quick. He knows like, I don't know how many languages. Like the guy is just like, he's just amazing, So Black Panther would probably be the one I would be. And then I'm a huge Marvel fan. I like Marvel? The DC universe too, but Marvel is taking it. Only because DC has not freaking figured their crap out. They need to figure it out.
They haven't. They haven't.
Put it together. Like you have, like how in the world everyone knows Iron Man, right? But prior to the movies, people knew what, if you say Iron Man, you're like, oh yeah, it's a comic book thing, but you didn't really know Iron Man. How has Iron Man become one of the most popular IPs for Marvel? Whereas Superman, Batman, those are the most well-known. Superman, if you say Superman, everyone in the world knows Superman. Yeah. But how haven't they gotten these things and taken it to it just doesn't make sense. Disney just needs to buy up, DC, and then just
connect the worlds together.
Yeah, exactly. DC versus Marvel.
It's pretty crazy. I really, when it looks at DC movies, the only one that I really had a real good feel for the last, I would say 2.5 years when it came out, was Aquaman. I thought that was really well done. But besides that, they don't even compare the movies.
Yeah. No, they don't. I like Snyder Cut. I think that was great. I wish they would bring, Snyder back and have him just make all the movies the way he knows they should be made. I think he would help them get to the right level. Even though it was a 4-hour movie, it was a great 4-hour movie. But besides that, they got to figure it out. I mean, you got Superman, you got Batman. Like, how do you not
Wonder Woman? I mean, they have a lot of big characters. I mean, even when we talk about evil, I mean, the Joker, they have a lot of big characters.
I mean, so many well known that people have known better, I think, than any other Marvel characters. I mean, for Marvel, to me, the most well known X-Men, Spider-Man, but even Captain America. Look how popular Captain America has been.
He's exploded from the movies.
That's never been like a popular cartoon show that anyone watched.
I love it. If something were to happen to you today, in a few words, how would you want to be remembered or described by your loved ones?
Remembered as someone who was there to help others achieve their dreams and goals. Probably that's the biggest thing I would say, because if you can do that, your dreams and goals come true too. So anytime we can help others achieve theirs, it's a good thing. It's helping make this world better, because if we're the only ones achieving our goals and everyone else isn't, people continue to be negative, bad things keep happening in the world. So we got to spread the love, help others, and you can only do so much, we're only one person, but do what you can.
I love that. And one last question I have for you. And with all your driving your NASCAR, is there one or two stories that I always ask athletes, now obviously put you at a high level athlete, one or two stories in your sport that just put a smile on your face when you think of it, or something just happened, or a moment that you would either achieve something or you saw a close friend achieve something, a good little story that you can finish off with?
I would say to me, the most touching one was probably something we did. It was about 5 years ago in 2016. There was an opportunity we had to help make a kid's dream come true. He was 4 years old, and he was diagnosed with a really, really rare form of terminal cancer. And it was terminal. Like, he wasn't going to make it to past his, childhood age. So he wanted to get a ride in a race car. And I heard about his family, or I heard about his story. I reached out to his family and flew him and his family up to where the race shop was at that time with the team I was running with. And we just so happened to have a old race car that we converted into like a 2-seater so we can give people rides. And we gave him a ride in a race car because that's what he wanted to do. And this lit his world up. He was so ecstatic, super happy, super pumped. And it meant like everything to him to get this ride. And I was so happy we were able to do that for him. And, he had a bucket list of other things he wanted to do too. And a lot of other people started doing all these great things for him too. And I think by him getting the chance to achieve his goals one after another, boom, 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 especially at a young age, I think that helped him push further, because, doctors had only given him a few months to live. And the next, he got to hit his 5th birthday and even his 6th birthday. And then I think about a month before his 7th birthday, he passed away. But I got to see him one last time before he did. I think it was about one week before he did. And, his mom had reached out to me and basically told me that, hey, he's like, Darian wants to see you again. Right now, he's not doing that good. We really think this is, about it. And, she said, she's like, that he told her that, Mommy, I don't want to go see Jesus unless I see Jesse again. So I got a chance to go see him one more time, and I brought him a whole bunch of stuff. And a week later, he passed away. I went to his funeral right after that. But it was really cool getting to do that stuff for him, because, kids shouldn't have to ever create a bucket list. But, in his situation, he did. And it was just cool getting a chance to do that. But, by doing what we initially did for him in 2016, that was during a time when I was still bootstrapping and trying to figure things out. I didn't have a ton of money. My business was still, kind of slowly growing, and I was using that to sponsor myself to race. And I barely had enough money to get like race tires. And I used some money that I had for race tires for an upcoming race to fly him and his family to, to the track to do the whole ride along thing. But it was worth it though, because we got to do that amazing thing for him. It helped him, and other people, fell in line too and did a lot of amazing things for him also.
Yeah, I mean, being a parent, I got 2 little ones. I mean, stories like that, just especially my son spent a lot of time at Sick Kids Hospital. We're very fortunate. We have one of the best pediatric care hospitals in the world in Toronto, Canada. I mean, I got goosebumps. I mean, just it's It's hard. It's hard. Life's very unfair when you actually think of it, especially children suffering like that. But I appreciate that, man. I mean, just, yeah, those stories are, they stick with you and they'll be with you for the rest of your life. And I'm sure you'll tell the story many, many more times. So I appreciate that. Anything you want to leave our audience with?
Yeah, for those who are listening, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening who are, big dreamers, have big goals, have things they're trying to accomplish. Never let other people's opinion of you become your reality. That's something I heard from Les Brown, and it's stayed with me for the last 6 years now. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be doubters of your journey. And sometimes they're close friends and close family. Just because they're in your family or in your circle doesn't mean that they know best. God gave you a vision and only gave you a vision. Whatever your vision is, he didn't give it to me. So I can't see it for you. You have to see it for yourself. So trust it. Like if you were given that natural vision and you completely see yourself accomplishing something, whatever that is, or becoming someone or whatever that, you clearly see it, you naturally see it every single day. Like that is real. Like that means the deal is already done. So who are you to quit on that? Who are you to believe that someone else knows what's best for you? They don't. You already saw it. So go after it, achieve it, grind every single day, because that's the only way it's going to happen. The deal is already done. So why wouldn't you just keep walking every day? No matter how many times you trip, no matter how many times you fall, you get kicked, you get punched, you get beat up, you get knocked down, you lose something, you lose everything. It doesn't matter. You can get there. Just keep pushing. Life rewards those who stay strong enough, long enough.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. How old are you?
33.
Well, you look like you're way younger, man. You got baby face happening. I think you're like 25, 26.
I always tell people I try to look 25 forever.
Man, you're doing amazing things. I'm it's an honor to meet you. I hope our relationship continues, and I love to see what you're doing and keep inspiring, brother. I mean, you're doing wonderful things, and obviously you got a good heart and a good soul, and just your smile is very infectious. So you're gonna be able to touch a lot of lives away from the track as well. And the track is just a platform for you to do a lot more things in your future. So I appreciate everything you're doing, and good luck with everything. And if you ever need anything, you ever come to Toronto, Canada, I'm your guy to take you around, show you around here.
Thank you. I've raced there. My first NASCAR Truck Series race in 2018. Yeah.
Was it Canadian Tire Race Series?
Canadian Tire Motorsports
up in
Park.
Up in Barrie. Yeah, I know that place. It's like we would drive by there all the time. I love that. I used to do that. We used to go see that track when I was a kid all the time. 16, 17. We used to always go on that to go check that track out and watch races up there. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna put on our show notes how to follow Jesse, how to check everything out. Do you have a book coming out? Are you in the process of writing a book?
Not yet. Eventually, because the journey's still on. Yeah, people can tell me all the time. I'll make a LinkedIn post, and then people are like, "You need to write a book." I'm like, "Yeah, I will. Like one day, just not right now."
I love it. I'm gonna put on our show notes how to follow Jesse on his social media, how to get in touch with him, and once again, thank you, brother. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me.